I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and much love to the elect brethren on the four corners of the planet Earth that's been set up through faith to help seal the elect. The Lord, through the power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, that's going to bring them in. Okay, we've just been set up to come out here and push this truth. Lord willing, the Lord seals the elect. Real quick, just a quick update, news updates, just to show you the time is at hand and the prophecies are moving. So we're gonna play this to show you America is now revealing itself, and it's lifting up its skirt, or it's taking that mask off to show that it's really not a God-believing place, man. Okay, so we're gonna play this video and show you and update you as best as I can through the power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Teaching Satanism in schools sounds like the stuff of horror movies, but a US court ruling on religious freedoms has enabled devil worshippers in Florida to hand out educational material about their beliefs to kids at state schools. Marina Portnaya has this report.
Public education in America often uses coloring books to teach young Americans about math, science, and current events. This year, a new book filled with games and lessons about Satanism could be distributed to students attending public school in Florida's Orange County. The 10-page Satanic Children's Big Book of Activities features characters named Annabelle and Damien who demonstrate rituals to explain Satanism. This expanding wealth of information for America's young minds was made possible after a Florida judge last month ruled that if the Orange County School District allowed Christian groups to disseminate Bibles and other materials in its schools, then other religious and atheist groups should be given the same right to distribute their material. And followers of the Antichrist seized on the decision to treat all faiths equally. A spokesman for the Satanic Temple tells Raw Story.
Let me read this. This is the book of Revelation 17 and verse 2. And it says, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunken with the wine of her fornication. Because the part of her fornication leads to these things, because that's the true root of it. Though they put up these Bible stuff and they always knew, because they took religion, or they took prayer out of school. They took it out slowly, but behind that is really falsehoods and how you say deeper idolatry worships, because it's not really a Christian faith is what they're pushing. They're pushing satanic doctrines by using that and saying that it's of God. Okay, so let me keep reading. Verse 3 says, So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet colors, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a gold cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And this is a part of that filthiness. For you to allow this in your system shows that you're a worshiper of Satan.
That, quote, if a public school board is going to allow religious pamphlets and full Bibles to be distributed to students, as is the case in Orange County, Florida, we think the responsible thing to do is to ensure that these students are given access to a variety of different religious opinions, as opposed to standing idly by while one religious voice dominates the discourse and delivers propaganda to youth, unquote. In a ruling that was aimed at maintaining religious neutrality, students who may never have intended to learn about Christianity, atheism, or Satanism will now receive an introduction to all three. Marina Portnaya, RT.
Alright, we're going to jump next. What is it? It says New Jersey Department of Health passenger on Newark flight do not have Ebola. Okay, because right now this was to show that when the guy came in, he started throwing up on the plane. They detained the whole plane. Okay, actually, let me read this first. It says Texas medical martial law enforced detention to begin second suspect patient. begin with second suspected patient. Okay, and it says quarantine and detention camps is becoming a norm in America. So now you can see how people are going to be able to be thrown into those detention camps. Okay, and they're gonna put it on the guise of you have Ebola or you're a suspected patient or sickness of Ebola. Okay, and it says Dallas, a second patient suspected of being infected with the deadly Ebola virus may be forced into protective custody. Reports say the first phase of the medical martial law will soon begin. According to the recent report, Dr. David L. Lakey, Texas Department of State Health Services Director, filed an order in a Dallas court Monday to admit the patient suspected of being infected into protective custody. An expert on the bombshell report, written by David Lee, a courthouse news service, reads, the unidentified patient, sued as MWL, is reasonably suspected of being infected with a communicable disease, Ebola, that present is immediately threat to the public health. The four-page mention states, further movement has determined that, or further Movance has determined that proposed patient is a threat to himself or others if he is not immediately restrained. Further, sources charged with monitoring the proposed patient, MWL, have observed the proposed patient filing and refused to follow the written order of the Texas Department of State Health Services by leaving the premises of the medical facility contrary to the medical directives, without permission and supervisions. I can't pronounce that word. It says the sworn representation of the application, who is a credible person, state that the proposed patient is reasonably suspected of being infected with the communicable disease, Ebola, that present a threat to public health, has failed or refused to follow the written or verbal orders of the commissioners, and present a substantial risk to harm to himself or others if not immediately restrained, according to the mention filed Monday at 2 p.m. Okay, so that's showing you that they're going to use these as a way to detain you people, detain the vast amounts of people that are supposedly suspected to have Ebola.
Jay Ross, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandra Bookman.
And I'm Joe Torres. Tonight, health officials confirmed the patient does not have the deadly disease.
The 35-year-old man from Liberia began vomiting on a United Airlines flight from Brussels to Newark. When the plane landed, medical teams rushed the patient to University Hospital for testing.
Eyewitness News reporter A.J. Ross has the latest from Newark.
That sickened passenger, along with his young daughter, are set to be released here from University Hospital any moment. They both tested negative for Ebola and will undergo continued monitoring. However, this medical emergency proved for a very long and frightening day for all passengers aboard United Flight 998 from Brussels.
We really didn't know what was going on. We just knew we had a medical emergency.
An eerie announcement over the loudspeaker left passengers aboard United Airlines Flight 998 with more questions than answers. Not to mention confusion when CDC officials boarded the plane at Newark International upon landing. This is a photo one passenger tweeted from inside the plane.
Quite scary, but would have been nice to get better information.
Sources say just hours before landing, a 35-year-old man from Liberia suddenly became ill and began to vomit, triggering fears of Ebola. After landing, the man and his daughter were quickly escorted off the plane in full hazmat gear and taken to University Hospital for treatment and tests.
I looked a little wobbly, and this is when I didn't see him until they were walking off the plane.
So nothing to panic, he's being evaluated, we are fine.
Henry Costa says he spoke with the sickened passenger and his daughter in the terminal just before takeoff.
I talked with him. I didn't see him vomit, but I talked with him prior to us boarding the flight from Liberia. I never could have imagined that, he would be sick.
The other 251 passengers on board were then guided through a series of questions and screenings at customs.
We started going through, we were halfway through customs, and then we were all told, get out of line, then go off to the side.
It kept holding us and holding us and holding us without much information.
The entire process took hours, prompting some passengers to question just how efficient things were handled.
After we got off the plane, it just didn't seem like they really knew what to do and how to handle us.
According to hospital officials, that sickened passenger's symptoms were found to be consistent with another minor, treatable condition. In Newark, I'm AJ Ross, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
And then we'll replay this one. It's a lady in Spain, and this just came out today on October 7th.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Everybody knows that.
Well, did you know Pinocchio was a bad motivational speaker?
I look around this room and I see nothing but untapped potential. You have potential. You have... Oh boy.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Spain announced that a nurse is the latest to be diagnosed, making her the very first person known to have contracted Ebola outside of Africa. The woman helped to treat a Spanish missionary and a Spanish priest. Both of those died after returning to Spain from West Africa. Now, officials in Spain working at this hour to track down anyone that nurse may have come in contact with. Our Al Goodman has the latest from Madrid.
Jim, this nurse's assistant was part of the medical team at Madrid's reference hospital for infectious diseases that treated the two Spanish missionaries who got the Ebola virus in Africa and later came back to Madrid and died. One of them got it in Liberia, came back and died here in August. The other got it in Sierra Leone, came back and died here on September 26th. She was part of that team, in contact with that team. Then she went on vacation September 27th, officials have said, and she began to feel ill. A few days later, she's been under observation. She went into hospital yesterday, and then today, the health minister came out and announced the news to the nation about what had happened. Let's listen.
Today we identified a patient in our country that has contracted a secondary case of the Ebola virus. The patient is a nurse's assistant at Carlos III Hospital who helped treat Dr. Garcia Viejo. Once we identified the possible case of Ebola, we immediately enacted the protocol coordinated by the health department and the regional government of Madrid.
Other officials at the health ministry who met in the crisis cabinet said that now all members of that medical team at the reference hospital, about 30 medical professionals, doctors, nurses, and others on the team, such as this nurse's assistant, they're now under observation. Their temperatures being taken twice a day, as well as the ambulance crew that drove the nurse's assistant to a different hospital on Sunday, also under observation. Now, officials at the health ministry insisted that all of the proper procedures and protocols had been followed by that medical team in treating the two missionaries who caught the virus in Africa and came back and later died in Madrid. But the questions were intense and are rising across the country on how this could have happened. We talked to some people on the street, a young couple who said they are feeling nervous. They said this was not supposed to happen. Some unions have already issued a statement saying they had warned the government that not all the proper procedures were being followed. But we talked to an older lady, a professor, who said that if everybody gets crazy...
This is the book of Psalms 9 in verse... we'll start at 15. It says, "The heathens are sunk down in the pit that they made, in the net which they hid in their own foot." And it says, let me read that again. Verse 15, this is Psalms 9 and 15. It says, "The heathens are sunk down in the pit that they made, in the net which they hid is their own feet taken. The Lord is known by judgment." It says, "The Lord is known by the judgment which he executed." This is a part of some of that judgment he's executing. Ebola is a part of this coming of the kingdom, man. And it says, "The Lord is known by the judgment he executed. The wicked are snared in the work of his own hands." Hagion, Salah. "The wicked shall be turned into hell. and all the nations that forget the Most High. For the needy shall not always be forgotten, and the expectations of the poor shall not perish forever. Arise, O Lord, let no man prevail. Let the heathens be judged in thy sight. Put them in fear, O Lord, that the nations may know themselves to be but men.
Hysterical, nothing's going to get done. But the health minister and other officials at the ministry issuing a call for calm to the population, saying they will give the best treatment possible to the nurse's assistant. She's 40 years old, is married, has no kids, but authorities will certainly be looking at her circle of family and friends to see if they also need to go under observation as the questions are rising on how to confront this situation here in Spain.
15 minutes could save you 15%.
So with that, this is a quick update. I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, double honors to the elders of Great Millstone and the apostles. Much love to you brothers on the four corners of the planet Earth. Just keep faith. We're almost home. Keep faith. Shalom.